All right, here we are. Here we are. Sorry for the abrupt stop. I thought that on the fader, and I didn't. We're still battling a little Wi-Fi in the area. It's a little bit better than last night. I'm gonna reboot my system today before I leave. But they're still working on the storm damage in the area, so it's not at peak efficiency. It's not our system, but I'm trying to get all of it out if I can. I'm turning off as much as I can, but it's not too bad this morning. We're getting a little bit better. But we were hit by two massive storms in the last 2.5 weeks, and it really wreaked havoc with electricity and everything. One whole town was out of electricity for many hours, and a lot of trees down, and they're still working on getting some of that stuff up. So anyway, good to be here on your Thursday. A lot of people are off tomorrow for the holiday because when it falls on a Saturday, um, you get what you get. So it's going to be if it's on Sunday, that's usually a Monday. If it's on Saturday, that is usually the Friday. So um, it's a lot of people will be off tomorrow. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Some people in offices and stuff usually will take that Friday off. So I will be off. Be doing a little bit more, be a little bit longer show in the morning. Look forward to doing that. Expanding a little bit, waiting on family to get up, and then we're going on a little road trip. We're kind of just have a lazy daisy kind of day, spend time together. But we're gonna hit a few spots, and we're gonna do some videos, get some outdoor stuff, um, and really hammer down on some videos out with the network. Exciting news! Exciting news! A couple things. Might not have listened last night and heard. Uh, just better for you. We have a whole new sound system coming. Quite a bit of money was invested. We have new mics and everything that'll be here. A board. Everything is new on that end. Our video, our all the other stuff was new. It's or really new. We are going to be upgrading one camera because it hasn't performed the way I wanted it to. But we'll still got to do that. But all new equipment. The biggest news is that we're going to be on Roku. So when we show you that where it says radio, internet, radio, TV, that's the truth. It's not. We put that out there because we knew we were going. The network will be on Roku. We're working on it right now. It's being worked on for us. We have a training session tonight so that we know how to upload and work with our desktop and all that stuff. So great news for the network. We're excited about it. It is it's a big step for us. We've invested time and money and everything in because we love what we do and we're growing. And you have to grow. And I started with nothing. That's why I tell people if you think you want to start a podcast, just start what you have. Start with your phone. You can do a podcast from your phone. People do it every day on certain sites, and that's fine. We decided we wanted more, so we started building and adding in more. Hence the studio here, so that we could bring people in, and we have more and more people coming in to the studio. So we're trying to enhance the studio as well. So we're moving things around. We have new signage going up, new banners. A lot of that's already up. Some of it's not. And then we already have plans for the next growth, which is a whole nother room, which will be the lounge area, kind of the watch the ball games, all that, where the guests who don't want to be on camera can stay, and then one whole room just dedicated to studio. No, we won't have to have the refrigerator and all that stuff in there. So that's another phase. We're on like phase 3 right now. So this was a big phase for us. There's still another big jump that we'll do in the future on cameras and angles and all that stuff. That'll be another $5,000 that will happen, over $5,000 that will happen in the future. But for now, it's a big jump for us. We're excited about it. That we will be broadcasting live on Roku. We'll have it recorded, be a 24/7 hour, and that's where we wanted to go. The network. We'll be airing. Some will be airing all the time, and then we'll still be airing on all the sites. Substack is still our place for everything and we'll have the paywall there. Some programming will hit Roku right now until we monetize Roku, and that'll come in the future as well. That's another step up. But we do have our foot in the door. We will have the Roku app here in a matter of days. So we're actually going to start loading up the banners and everything for the Roku this weekend. Just didn't have time, but we just made the deal last night. And so moving ahead. So just want to give you that news up front. We will be drawing. I haven't had a chance to have the extra person in the room to do the drawing for the June giveaway. We're going to do that this weekend as well. It may happen tonight. Um, and that's the Yeti mug, the 12-ounce coffee sample pack, and the year's paid subscription to Substack. It's so cheap. If you pay by the year, it's only $4.17 a month. It's $5 a month if you don't. We have two main shows there that go behind the paywall. That's Just How Big a Boy Are You, and our TikTok live, which is only seen there if you're in the live. And we'll be loading those there. There's a lot of fun. We've been having a lot of fun with both of those in way different ways. They're two completely different shows. Those are behind the paywall, and all that just helps because there's cost to everything we do. So, and so everything you do, whether you come in and you give us a chat, whether you like, follow, share, all that stuff, it really helps. And hopefully, eventually, you'll like what we do and become a subscriber. Become a free subscriber right now in Substack, and you'll get in the July drawing. We haven't decided what will be in that, but we'll have the coffee, and the Substack will be a part of that. And then we'll also add in, we know a mug will probably be a part of it. In fact, we have our new Wolf Nation mugs. We've got two different styles. We have another one on the way, and I drink out of this one every day. So you can have yours. Chaser got one, and he just puts it up on the mantle. He drank out of it one time, and then he said it's going on the mantle. He just wanted to look at it. Anyway, happy Thursday. It's hot, as you know. I'm going to be giving out watermelons again at 8 o'clock this morning for our personnel at the plant. And Tuesday when we did that, it was already really, we were sweating by the time we got done giving out those. And then I won't be able to be there tonight. They'll give them out tonight. I did Tuesday evening or afternoon. I didn't do the Tuesday night, but I did the Tuesday afternoon, which was 3 to 4, right in the heat of the day. But I'll tell you, it was burning up. Stay cool if you can. It's kind of the peak day, so I think this is kind of the hottest for most areas. It'll slightly start cooling after today. Not a whole lot, but a little bit. But I think today is peak on that, so be very, very careful with that. Let's get our verse in. See what I did with it. Verse of the day. There you are. There you are, you little rascal. Got to get the verse of the day in. Love the Word of God. Big news on that too. Mercy and truth are met together. I love this verse. Psalms is such a wonderful treasure for us to have. All of the Word of God is profitable to you. But what the Psalms are just so wonderful. And this verse, it just hit me really hard this morning. I love that. Mercy and truth are met together. Righteousness and peace have kissed each other. What a beautiful, poetic, powerful, personal verse. And we are just so blessed. We are so blessed. I love the images that they put with these. And it's just such a wonderful thing to have the first thing in the morning to look at. I like the video ones too that share the Word of God. They have the images and stuff behind them. I just think it adds something to it. We're such a visual people, and it just kind of helps that. I just love that. So there's your verse today, Psalms 85:10. 85:10. Not one you hear from all the time, but remember, all of it is profitable. 85:10. What a beautiful verse. Birthdays today, and I didn't even look at them ahead of time. Normally I do that. I think these are today's. Let me make sure. Yeah. Pretty sure this is today's. I'm trying to make sure. I pulled it up and I tried to preview that and make sure. But it's different than yesterday. So Lindsay Lohan is 39 today, if that's right. Or was this yesterday? Let me go back and look at this really good. I want to make sure we're on the right thing. It says July 2nd. So yeah, Lindsay Lohan, 40 today. Margot Robbie, 36, actress. Who else do we have today that would be of interest to someone? Jerry Hall, model, 69. It's been a long time. A lot of famous things with her. Just people we know. I think it's interesting. Producer Larry David did a lot of shows that I like on TV. Produced a lot of those. He's 78 today. Richard Petty, the king of race car, not the king of rock and roll. He's certainly not the king, which is Jesus Christ. He's 88 years old today. And he gets around a lot. He does a lot of personal appearances and stuff. They have a relationship with Food City, I believe, from their area. So they fly into Food Cities and do stuff, him and his son. but he is a great ambassador for racing, and obviously a legend. So it's a shame that Petty, the number's still out there because the numbers. I mean, it is the 43 Eric Jones, but it's a shame there's not a Petty out there. It's a shame that the tragedy of Adam Petty dying all those years ago. Who knows? Maybe one day a Petty will get back, and maybe Petty Enterprises will become something again. But they built a legacy. There's no doubt. Mostly him. And I do like what Kyle. He didn't win a lot of races. He's another great ambassador for the sport. And what I like what he does is with it. And I'm going to get back with them. They've agreed to come on, and with everything that happened with my wife passing away, I've got to get back with the Victory Junction gang. I believe that's what the charity they have, and I've just have got to get back with them. They had a little hang up on their end schedule wise, and then everything just went haywire for me. So we will make sure that happens. So that's your birthday today. I don't see anybody else that, for me, rings a bell. On this day in history, let's look just a little bit. I'll not go heavy into that. Some people are not into history. I love history, but in 1776, we're right here at the 250, but on this date in 1776, the Continental Congress resolves, quote, these united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states. Free and independent states. And, the Supreme Court really on the ruling for Title IX, defense of Title IX and women's sports, they really, they left that up to the states. There's not a federal law on that, but each state can protect women's sports. I'm hoping that all the states will do that. There may be a couple, three that do not. And I would say they will see an exodus of people even more out of their state if they do that. But this gives protection for that. But that recognizes the state level. It's always that constant battle. Federal overreach, state. Where does it? There's a balance there. And we fought a whole war over it, them saying that the states cannot be free. It's really kind of crazy. I always remember we went over to Yugoslavia and we told all the states over there, you are free, you're independent, be on your own. And then when some try to confederate away, and whether it was right or wrong to do it, they had the right, still had the right. I'm not defensive of anything. They had the right to do it. But we fought a whole war saying you can't do it. But then they'll turn around and say, well, you have a right. It's confusing the way but we're better together than apart. I will say that. In 1865, church minister William Booth and his wife Catherine Booth founded the East London Christian Mission, now known as the Salvation Army. How about that? In 1990, 1,426 pilgrims were trampled to death after a panic in a tunnel in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. It gets a little crazy over there around the, they're in those celebrations and things they do. Can you imagine 1,400 people just trampled to death? Wow. In 1928, the Jenkins Television Corporation, owned by Charles Jenkins, goes on air with W3XK, the first television broadcasting station in the USA. How about that? 1928. And we've never been the same since. Look at us today. And in 2005, Bob Geldof held a lot of live concerts to raise awareness for poverty. I don't know if any of that helped poverty. It was a really big thing. It has been in the past 20, 30 years, these big concerts to bring Farm Aid. What's the other one, with that came together for, World, with all the musicians and everything. You get some really good music out of it. Interesting pairings up. I don't know if anything changes, but, for Haiti, I don't think any of that money, honestly, I don't think any of the money made it to Haiti. I really don't. I don't give to those things. I'll watch your show for certain performers, but I don't give to those. I give to more trustworthy things. Whenever the left stands up and says, send us a whole bunch of money, we're going to take care of people. I'm not sending a dime. Are you kidding me? The New Orleans thing. Well, there's a bunch of money raised for the hurricane, the lower Ninth Ward. They came in. They did build a bunch of new houses, and I think all that's disaster now. It was not followed through. It was just left. But it's always the photo op. They may in their way, they may think they're helping in their way. They're not helping. There may be cases out there where they have, but I just don't see it. So anyway, I had a couple other birthdays that weren't, because these were not listed in the other ones. Thurgood Marshall, 1908. Medgar Evers, 1925. incredible story of those two men. Imelda Marcos, remember her, all the shoes? Wow, 97th birthday. Pretty amazing. Anybody else? Jose Canseco, 62nd birthday today. So I did get a couple of others here. 62nd. The bounce of the ball off his head. Hey, he was a heck of an athlete. At least the swinging that bat. But his little brother was not as strong. I got to see his brother play in Chattanooga, actually, at a game. I got to see his brother, Jose Canseco's brother, Ken Griffey Jr.'s brother. Who's the other one? Pete Rose Jr. Pete Rose Jr. Oh, we had Pete Rose Jr. So mad at us. We he was a third baseman, and he was a decent player. Was never great. No, didn't have anything on his dad. But it's hard to live up to. But we heckled him through the first part of a game, and he flipped us off after we'd been heckling him. He turned around and put his glove up so the manager couldn't see him, and he flipped us off. And we were having a ball. It was all clean heckling. We weren't doing anything dirty or anything, but it was clean heckling. It was hardcore. And I was thinking then he had the worst thing could have happened for him. We got in his head. I really do believe, and that's the whole idea of heckling, is you get in that. And the reason we were doing all that, we were for the other team. Even though we live outside, we live in Georgia, it was right outside. I think they're playing the Braves affiliate or something. So we're really messing with them. And so there was a ball hit his weight and went right through his legs. Oh my gosh, that really turned it up. And then of course there was other people joining us, but we were telling him, "You're nothing like your daddy. Your daddy would have caught that ball." That's when he turned around and flipped us off. And then right after they pulled him out of the game, mercy, that really set the people. Now all the people over there were for him. Well, they were mad at us. Like, leave him alone. Leave him alone. He's a good guy. That's the whole part of heckling now. It's just to get in your head to affect the game. That's what the so-called, the 12th man does in football and all that. You are trying to get in the head of the opposing team, except we were in their home stadium and we got in his head. It was great. We did that one night with, it was the Marlins affiliate. And I will never forget, there's a bunch of church people, and it was hilarious. We had people come by after the game and shake our hands and say that we made the game for them, that it was hilarious. It was all clean, but there was a group of us, and here we are. And this time we were helping the lookouts. We were helping, but anyway, the other team got up, and one of the guys' name was Bass, so we were saying all kind of things about fish and everything. And we had several. Like, we got flipped off that game too. A guy did it on top of his hat as he's going to the dugout. The pitcher, we dogged the pitcher so hard. He got pulled from the game, and he was out. I'm not saying we caused that. He was having a bad game, but we made it worse. And then he flipped us off on the top of his hat as he went in the dugout. That's when you've been successful. But the best part of the whole thing was we had a guy. It was Jesus, but of course it looks like Jesus. And so a friend of mine, a good Christian friend of mine, he just ripped it on that one. So he gets a base hit. Jesus gets a base hit, and he's on first base. And he steps off. Our guy, he's like stepping up. Good job. Jesus got a hit. And then he steps off the base. This is where it was. I rolled. It was so funny. So the guy steps off, and the guy stands up, and it's kind of quiet for a moment. Saying get quiet. And the guy hollers out, and he says, "Oh my gosh, no! Jesus is going to steal. All of mankind is in trouble here." And even the guy, even the players looked up in the stands. The guy that was, I don't know how much English he knew, but he got the wind of something was weird. And so he was up there pleading, "Don't do it. Don't do it." Well, he did it. And they weren't even paying attention to the play. Once they knew he had stolen it, this guy's over here wailing. I mean, I couldn't believe it. It was the funniest thing. We had friends in the stands. We didn't even know were there. And, well, we found out they were there afterwards. We got our friend. We ran into, we paid a kid $5 to go up. We had seen him up there. He didn't know we were there at first. We paid him $5 to go up and get his autograph, a friend of ours. So we said, "Hey man, we'll give you $5 if you go up and ask that guy for his autograph." So here he is. He's sitting in the stadium. Big baseball fans. I don't even know if he even ever played baseball. This kid comes up with the program, $5 still tucked in his hand. And we're sitting here watching. And he goes up there, and the guy's like, you see, he's like, what? He said, can I get your autograph? I can read his lips. He's like, you want my autograph? He said, yeah, I want your autograph. And so he gets the autograph, and, he's all smiles and everything. And he must have asked him, I couldn't see what he said. He must have said something like, why do you want my autograph? And he said, those guys paid me. I could see him point. And he looked down, they were all down there waiting. He's just like, he come down there, he said, man, you punked me out. He said, my head was swelling up there like, man, he wanted my autograph. Those are great times. You can have good, clean fun, and that's what we did. So that's still some of the best value for a family event. I think dirt track racing is very affordable. It's a great family experience. The whole family comes out. And minor league baseball. The major league sports, a heck with them. I mean, I root and I watch them, but I haven't been to the games in a while because you know what? They just price me out. And, it's ridiculous what it costs to go to a major league sporting event. Minor league stuff. Go to the minor league stuff and you'll come out. You'll have more fun. It won't be such a stress. It's not near the crowds. And it's just be a fun activity for the kids. And, if you want to do the other, that's fine. But for me and my money, do something local, support the stuff that's in your town, local, and high school sports and all that. Much better experience for me than major leagues. It's just gotten so ridiculous. And the major leagues are starting to do a bunch of stuff to, it's like programmed crapola. They're pumping stuff into your heads. When you go to the small town stuff, it's just more family. It's more community. You don't hear that. You hear the major league and every commercial is seeming like something that, it's like going to the movie theaters. I try to walk in. If it's not going to be, I go when it's not crowded. Anybody, I take my time, get on my stuff. I don't want to watch all the previews. Some of the previews, they put commercials into your head. I mean, it's all programmed. It's all marketing. And some of that I don't care for. All right, let's look at the news. Well, there's a lot going on, as we know, and we're going to, this weekend, it's going to be a lot going on. Let's start with the president, of course. One of the things that happened as we approach the weekend is the president dedicated the Theodore Roosevelt Library. We'll catch the highlights of some of the things he said there. He said, quote, "This is the time to rediscover the indomitable spirit that built our country and all that will ensure America always remains the most exceptional nation on the face of the earth." He was at the Burning Hills Amphitheater in Medora, North Dakota, the site of the library. There could be no better place to begin this rediscovery than with the lifetimes and passions of Theodore Roosevelt. He had great passion. The Colonel, they called him. He was an American man through and through. His chest swelled with American optimism, confidence, enthusiasm, and pride. His heart beat with an unyielding sense of America's destiny and pride. Trump arrived in North Dakota on the maiden flight of the refurbished Air Force One jet, donated by Qatar. Controversial to some, but it is supposed to be a heck of a ride. The jet will be used temporarily until Boeing delivers a new one sometimes in 28. It features a new red, white, dark blue, and gold color scheme selected by the president. Then they rode a train bedecked with red, white, and blue bunting. That brings back the time. Remember they used to go in the cities on the trains and stuff. They'd stomp off the back of the last car. That was big throughout presidential history. Emblazoned with the 1776 to 2026 of the library, which is scheduled to open Saturday. The motorcade to the library was accompanied by horseback riders dressed as Roosevelt's Rough Riders, the nickname given obviously to the volunteer cavalry that rode with him up San Juan Hill during the Spanish-American War. Another quote, "Abraham Lincoln was the person that he most respected, most admired, most looked up to," Trump said. He has a beautiful picture of Lincoln that he has had in one of his very important rooms where he lived, and it's at the library. By the end of his 60 years, Theodore Roosevelt had transformed his country by the reach of his vision and by the force of his will into one of the greatest places, one of the greatest empires, one of the most incredible countries ready to take its rightful place as the strongest and most respected nation anywhere in the world. Trump said there are 5 lessons to be taken from Roosevelt's extraordinary life. Americans should never give up. A great and free nation must have courage. America works best when it rejects failure and embraces merit. America must think big, and Americans must be united as Americans first. Theodore Roosevelt understood that whatever our background, we are all Americans. We're Americans first, united under one flag, and we don't wipe our hands on a flag. Trump was referring to the Democrat in New York's 13th Congressional District, who allegedly wrote, "I forgot to get napkins, so I just wiped my hands on the American flag behind me," and that's pretty sorry. And I don't care what your political persuasion is. You make a statement like that, you've offended every American, every soldier, every flag draped coffin. It's actually you can get in trouble for going against code. I mean, we do have rules. Not that they'll get in any kind of trouble or anything, but you know what? That's low. That's low ball, low class. And I don't care. You could take the staunchest Republican. If I ever heard any conservative say that, I would say the same thing. It's ridiculous. And anyway, he toured the library and they've had a conversation. See about the Panama Canal. I said, or he said he had a conversation with Roosevelt about the Panama Canal. Maybe I hope that they'll pick that one apart. I guess maybe that's the picture. I don't know. He said, "What do you think about the Panama Canal? Do you consider that your greatest achievement? How do you feel about the fact that the Democrats gave the Panama Canal away to Panama for $1?" Referring to former President Jimmy Carter's implementation of the Torrijos-Carter treaties, which transferred control of the canal to Panama, which was ridiculous. I was so mad at the time. Teddy Roosevelt got in and did some incredible things, but one of them, I think, one of the most amazing, maybe a lot of the people would say the parks. You could say a lot of different elements of his success, but he built the Panama Canal. We lost 38,000 people building the Panama Canal, our people. It opened, and from day one, it was very successful, and we gave it away. It was the most expensive thing we ever built. It was also the most profitable thing we ever built. That's a nice combination. So anyway, that president there. A lot of nice quotes in there, and you'll be hearing a lot of stuff throughout the weekend. There'll be a lot of things that are said. Let's hit some of the other. There's also going to be some special Social Security cards to honor America 250. Babies that are born during the nation's celebration will receive a limited run Freedom 250 version. The commemorative cards will be issued automatically to babies born between July 2nd and December 31st, 2026 through the Social Security Administration's Enumeration at Birth program. The cards carry the Freedom 250 logo but function just like standard Social Security cards. The Administration Commissioner Frank Bisagano said the initiative celebrates the nation's founding and the agency's longstanding role in serving Americans. So interesting. So there's going to be a lot of, I don't know how many babies will be born during that time, but there's going to be a lot of, they'll be the ones that'll have a keepsake. That's pretty cool. We're moving over to the Middle East. We know that's still dicey. The talks, they say they report progress. Ambassador Huckabee, Mike Huckabee, he says that Iran is still hostile to U.S. and Israel. Well, yeah, they're calling for the assassination of both leaders. At least the clerics are. There's also some rising tensions as some Kurdish armed groups have stepped up attacks against Iranian security forces, adding a new point of tension as the United States and Iran pursue a peace agreement. Newsweek has reported that the Iran's Revolutionary Guard said 2 of its members were killed in what is called a terrorist and cowardly act in the western city of Pava in Kermanshah province. The Norway-based Hinga Organization for Human Rights reported the attack was claimed by a newly formed Kurdish group known as the Zori Hiwa, or Son of Hope. The Revolutionary Guard also announced a separate counterterrorism operation in neighboring West Azerbaijan, province, saying it had destroyed a 6-member team that entered Iran. The Kurdistan Free Life Party, or PJAK, said 4 of its fighters were killed in clashes near the city of Mehabad. The latest fighting followed several days of reported clashes between Iranian security forces and Kurdish groups near the Iraqi border. That's not often you see the Kurds involved like that. It's interesting. Usually they're defending themselves against others. You know, the Turks hate the Kurds, hate. So there's that going on. Whitaker says that all options are on the table. I think all leaders on the conservative side say all those options are still on the table. Iran is insisting on keeping control over Hormuz. This is the sticking point, and it's not going to work. We cannot back out with that. So we're kind of hooked in. So it's sink or swim now. No pun intended. Wall Street slips as U.S. Iran tensions cloud outlook. Another headline. There was a ship that ran aground in the Strait. Report Trump favors diplomacy but keeps the strike option. And of course, the clerics have announced this for the doing away of our leaders of both nations. And all right, let's move a little bit further. Another news, pretty big news item. U.S. refuses to extend the North American Trade Pact in current form. This is a big deal many years ago. They will not renew the North American Trade Pact with Canada and Mexico in its current state. The U.S. Trade Envoy said Wednesday, meaning the deal will now be reviewed annually. The move is likely to fuel uncertainty for businesses in North America, giving deep integration across supply chains in sectors like automobiles. You know, the Volkswagen is in big trouble right now due to a lot of downturns around the world. They employ 625,000 people, and they're going to cut one out of every six. So around 100,000 people will lose their jobs at Volkswagens, mostly outside the nation. 3 plants in Germany are shutting down. The tariffs and everything else, I think, are having some sort of effect or just a downturn in car sales. But Volkswagen is, and they've also sold off parts of business that where they make other things have been sold off to keep things afloat. The unions are accusing them of lots of things, so they're threatening to sue them. And all, you know, there's a lot of people that lose their job around the world, and many of those in Germany. The U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement, USMCA, remains in force for another 10 years, even if it's not renewed by Wednesday's deadline. The Free Trade Pact will instead be subject to annual reviews unless a country decides to withdraw entirely. The United States did not agree to renew it in its current form. As a result, it's not renewed. And we will continue to engage with Mexico and Canada to address the agreement's shortcomings and our trade deficits with these countries. Some of those areas are tensions over things like dairy and corn. Mexico's economic secretary, Marcelo Ebrard, confirmed the impasse. So we will see. That's not going to be extended in its current form. Canada and Mexico have both called for a 16-year renewal of USMCA, with the deal being subject to rolling negotiations instead of a longer-term extension. Talks could last for months or years over everything from tariffs to trade rules governing specific sectors. Despite a 10-year countdown to the deal's expiration, senior U.S. officials say countries need not wait a decade to conclude their agreement. I think we need to come to a conclusion quickly if possible. So leveraging, getting a better deal. They expect the deal to survive, with goods and services trade within North America accounting for nearly $2 trillion in 2024 numbers. American Automotive Policy Council President Matt Blunt stressed Wednesday that the North American economic integration enables enormous competitive benefits for the region. But Brian Bryant of the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers Union said that USMCA should not simply be extended as is. He urged for tougher labor standards and meaningful measures that discourage corporations from moving jobs out of the United States and Canada in pursuit of cheaper labor. I've never understood, this always has baffled me, that you had unions, and I don't know union, I have in the past, but the unions who support the candidates who absolutely have sold them out. I just I've never understood that. It baffles me. They're supposed to be the people of the party of the people. That's what they've always said. Unions, by and large, they come out and support it. And where does the protection of jobs? I've never seen it. They continue to flee out. President Trump has came along and got those jobs to come back to build here. He's made deals. I've never understood. It's like, are you blind? I mean, you make deals with the devil. You make deals with leaders who sell you out. They just sell you out. They'd rather support some foreign entity than they would the United States. I just never understood that. This baffles me. Maybe I'm dumb. I just don't understand that. Good morning, Broski. How are you? God bless today on your Thursday. Hope things are well. No matter which side of the border you're on, Canada or not, you can go up there and help get this deal done. The USMCA was implemented in 2020, replacing NAFTA the North American Free Trade Agreement that took effect in '94. It helped lower or remove tariffs and other trade barriers on many products traded between the three nations. I just think we always take the hit on it. I think Americans' jobs are. I just think we always take the hit. And I've said, listen, they're Volkswagen may be suffering right now in a lot of ways, but it's well known they've added their capacity in Mexico, and if that tariff ever gets right, I mean, I think the jobs could leave the United States and go there. But right now, the tariffs are what's holding them here, I think. But with everything that's went up and all the skyrocketing costs, they're having some problems. We have a big Volkswagen plant in Chattanooga, right above it. You know, a lot of parts suppliers to that, and even some down Georgia. Automotive has been good in this area: Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee. It's always, and it has increased. A lot of them have moved south. Volkswagen just voted in the union for most of it. I think I don't know if one of them may not have, but they did vote the union in, and that's, I don't know how that's going to work. They were already making a really good wage. Yeah, they'll get more, but sometimes unions come in and they fight for more, and then they lose. They ultimately lose because then the jobs go somewhere else. They keep bleeding and bleeding, and they'll say, "Well, it's a fair this, fair that." But even up in the powerhouse of Detroit, what has happened? I mean, it's taken a huge hit up there, and so it's does it really protect you? I think they go too far. I think there was a time we needed that for protection there was no labor laws. I mean, we had kids and they're getting hurt and killed and everything else, working, 16-hour days or more. I mean, the conditions were horrible, and we still have episodes of that, some of that. But, OSHA was implemented in 1970. The standards were really loose. There were no standards, and a lot of workers died. I have a picture. I've got it somewhere. I need to find that again. It's a worker in 1950 with a jackhammer drilling into some rock or something. They're trying to bust up. It's really quite amazing, the picture. I think it's around 1950, early 50s. I think it's 50, though. The worker, he has no gloves on. And that's pretty typical. You protect your hands. He has no safety glasses on, no hard hat, no nothing. Nothing for the dust, And how many people died. I remember when I went up, and if you've ever been through the, what do they call those tunnels in West Virginia? There's a name for that. But anyway, you go through the mountains up there. It's massive. A lot of workers died building those. The president was talking about the Panama Canal, the 38,000. It wasn't that number, but it was a lot of people. And African Americans that came into the area to work, what happened was that it was the dust, the silica. They were blasting that rock and everything. They had no protections. And many of them died, through injury as well. And what happened was a lot of those people never even made it back home. They just, for the African Americans, which at that time they didn't care, they just had a little cemetery they just slammed them all into. And some of their families never seen them again. They have started, I think there's been a movement to get those properly buried in the last many years. But workers, that was very common. You hired day workers. Even here in the Chattanooga area, the Raccoon Mountain Pump Storage Facility, you can actually go down in the mountain, and they have the reservoir, and they use it to pump the water up and down for electricity from the river. And when I was down there, you could go. You see the very top of the turbines. They take you down that far, and they'll open the door. You're actually in the mountain. Pretty amazing. It's all free. You just drive up there. It's a beautiful area. And anyway, they said we had 11 known to die. That's what the guy told us. So what do you mean known? He said, well, there was a lot of day workers, and don't know. That we know 11. We documented 11, or they did back in those days, because that was another, early turn of the century project. And I used to know a guy that worked on that. He was in his 60s at the time, and he worked up there, and asked him what his job was, and he basically moving rock. They gave him a wheelbarrow, and as they broke up all, you had to move the rock somewhere, so he wheelbarrowed rock to from one location to another. That's what he did. And if I remember right, I think they paid him cash every day. Like, you weren't documented. I mean, you were just hey, you want to work? Okay. There was a lot of that went on. I remember reading stories about the Golden Gate Bridge. Hundreds of workers, if not thousands, on the potential workers down on the ground. And if you were not working to the level that they wanted, they'd just fire you on the spot and say, bring up another, which meant you were working unsafe as well. They didn't. They just wanted to get the deal done. But they had a lot of workers fall to their death. They always talk about these workers and how brave they were, and and maybe they were, but a lot of them died. People don't talk about that. There was a lot of people that died, and that expression, you're fired before you hit the ground. Well, it's kind of the truth. I mean, I heard from that they would be waving up the next worker as the guy was falling. I mean, you know, get another one. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, workers were just, they were just a dime a dozen, and you just worked them. You worked them to death, really. We did a lot of great things, and thank God for them. America, I think of all the coal miners, and over the years they came up with a lot of safety precautions in that area as well. I mean, MNCHA. I mean, that's a hard. They come in every day to those things and looking at their safety. It's still very dangerous, but black lung, all the people that got killed eventually by asbestos. I mean, rules make us mad, and it does make safety makes it harder. I've worked in safety for years, but you got to have it. I mean, I remember I was doing a class at Georgia Tech. I was doing a industrial hygiene class, I think it was, and they were talking about what they do at Georgia Tech. If for small companies that can't afford experts, they will come in and it's free. But what it is, if they come in and they find a problem, you got to fix it, or they basically tell on you. Right? They call up OSHA and go, "Hey, we found a problem." They're not fixing it, but they agree to that on the front end. So anyway, this company needed help, and it was people that were in I think it was if I remember right, it was chicken nuggets, but the part where they're having trouble at was where they breaded the chicken, and it basically just blew that stuff on there, and then it would go through a drying process, and then it would come out and eventually get packed. So all the workers, they're got masks on and things over their hair. It's a food, but they had workers getting sick, breathing. They couldn't figure it out, like what's going on here. So they brought them in. So they put all their little instruments up, which detect minute, particulates in the air and stuff. And on one end of the machine, the workers were fine. But when they worked on the other end, they had workers saying, "I don't want to work on that end." Workers were getting sick. They were having breathing problems and missing work, going to the doctor. So what they found was, and this happens every day somewhere, some knucklehead doesn't do their job. And what they did is they wired one of the fans backwards. And instead of blowing that towards the product, it was blowing it into the worker's face. Not enough that they really knew that was what was happening, but it was just these minute particles. And even though they've got masks, it's just getting all over them, and that's getting in. Because there's the gaps. It's not perfect. They didn't have to wear like the huge mask, and maybe they didn't even have a mask on. Maybe that was it. Maybe they just had to have the hair on, and I don't think they did have a mask. That's right, they didn't. Because it wasn't supposed to be on them. It's supposed to be in this machine blowing, but it was blowing out into the workers. And so these workers, many of them poor, you think, they're hiring by the dime a dozen. And that one thing, they just rewired the fan. I've seen this happen in my own company where some knucklehead would come in, wire the motor up. It's running backwards. He never tested it. He walks away and there's, all of a sudden we got things not running right, and it's just a knucklehead. That's somebody not doing their job right. That's just bad quality. But it was causing these workers health problems. And imagine that. They don't have any control over that. They're just coming in and do a job. Broski says, one of my great-grandfathers dropped out of school in second grade to work as a breaker boy in the coal mines outside of Hazleton, Pennsylvania. Yeah, man, that ain't nothing. I mean, that's work. That's a man's man. I mean, that's what. Here in the South, they dropped out a lot. They were doing their harvesting and stuff, so sometimes they didn't finish. My dad went to school, but he never graduated. He went to 11th grade, and then I think he went straight into the military. Like he missed a lot of school though. They said when because they farmed they were sharecropping back in those days. Eventually they quit doing that, but at that time they were farming a lot of I mean everything, corn, all that stuff. I mean it was acres of stuff, and so they would have to harvest it. He missed a lot of school. He was a good student, but he went in the military in 19. Let's see, was that 59? 59. I did a 2 year stint, got out in 61, and eventually got married. I think it was 59. U.S. Army, and went and got. He worked in a lot of manufacturing. He also went to trade school and got some machinist training, and he did some of that. He wasn't a full machinist, but he did some of that. But he worked in foundries most of his life. For car manufacturers, they were doing brake drums. That's what he did most of his career. He did many different jobs in the foundry, and he did some security, which I do today. And I enjoy it, and it kind of honors my dad. You know, my dad, my dad instilled in me a work ethic. I work all the time. I stay really busy. I'm busier now than I've ever been in my life, but I enjoy it. It keeps me going. I'm not sitting around, letting flies get on me. Eventually, I'd like to retire from the jobs and just be full time on here. We're kind of almost full time now, but we'll eventually do that. Broski, I don't know if you heard, we're going to have a Roku out in the coming days. So we're growing. We got new equipment on the way as well. Should be here tomorrow. Try to hook that up over the weekend. I still got to buy some headphones, but all new sound equipment, mics, board, the whole thing. Big expense. Thankful to the people at Sweetwater up in Indiana, who are awesome and are guiding me and helping me through this. So and eventually maybe one new camera, but we're really upgrading the studio here, and the Roku is on the way. Got a couple other little things too that we're working on. Just time, need time, but it's great, and we enjoy it, and we're looking to do even more. So Roku's a big step for us. We're excited about it. That's where the TV part comes in. 200 and something million people have Roku. So you could go a lot of different ways. You could go iPhone, Android. There's a lot of different platforms you can be on, but we thought that Roku was a good spot for us. So we're doing that. So we got a great deal going in, and we took advantage of it. We've been talking to them for months now, on and off, different organizations. In fact, I still have an interview next week from I think it's next Tuesday with another organization to help us on some other things. We're going to see if we can squeeze all this in. I don't know yet, but we'll see. So we're just going to listen to the pitch and see what happens. So, but we're excited about it. So awesome, Endo. Hope everybody has a great day out there. But yeah, I think some of these agreements have been effective in some ways, bad in others. But again, I'm not against either nation being successful. We're right here together. We should work together in a lot of ways, especially on defense and all that. We don't need people right on our borders doing bad things. But America first. That's one of the problems that a lot of people had is, listen, I don't think it's a good idea, and it's not against anybody, but I don't think it's a good idea to let Mexican truck drivers drive their trucks through American roads. I just never have believed that. I think that's a bad idea. When that was part of that deal back in the day, they were letting them. The standards are different. The trucks are. I mean, there's a lot of problems with that, and I don't think it's a good idea. Yeah, you're gonna have some people cross over and work visas and stuff, but I didn't like the trucker one because it's on the highways with their families running up down the road, and I want those standards as high as they were allowing things to go on that our drivers couldn't get away with. A lot of truck drivers on there were very mad at the time, and the trucks were substandard. Not to say we don't have some of that in America, because we do. I've loaded a lot of trucks, and sometimes you just see some junk rolling down the road, especially the trailers. My gosh, they're horrible. It's about to fall apart. Shouldn't even be on the road. What else? There was something else I wanted. Representative Ogles, the president on the one end, He did. The Supreme Court failed on that end. I'll stand with that. I don't think they got that ruling right. But Andy Ogle's representative, Republican, Tennessee, said that Congress must pass legislation ending birth tourism following the Supreme Court's ruling. But you're going to see some shakeups on the other end since they said what they said. But anyway, his idea is that he said he has already proposed legislation that he believes would do just that. I predicted the Supreme Court ruling wouldn't go our way, he told Ed Henry on the Big Take. We had this legislation ready to go. He said many people from China, come to U.S. territory of Guam to give birth so their children can become an American citizen. Quote, you literally have someone whose child is a Communist Party member who would be eligible to run for president of the United States of America. Think about that for a moment. I promise you, our founding fathers never contemplated someone from a nation who hated us would be president of this great nation. The Tennessee congressman said that in order for the law to be enacted, Congress needs to do its freaking job. Get back to D.C. We're going to stay late. We're going to work weekends. No more vacations. And oh, by the way, John Thune, the United States Senate, that includes you, Ogle said. You have a mandate from the American people. Over 80% of Americans want the Save America Act. You have no excuse not to do it. You shouldn't get another break. You shouldn't get to go home early. No more vacations. We have a job to do. It's our 250th anniversary. The best present we can give the American people is doing our jobs. Man, I like that. Which means ending birth tourism, ending this whole idea of anchor babies. And quite frankly, the Senate needs to be along for this. Hooray! I may be some of the best quotes I've heard in a long time. President Trump needs to get him to speak right. I think he would like him. I mean, he didn't add in the beautifuls and the biggest and the best like the president does, but that's straight to the heart of the matter. Do your freaking job. That should be the request of every American to Congress. Do your freaking job. Any level, state level, county, city. I've been watching all these people go before their councils and they're calling them out on all sorts of crap. There was a guy the other night and he was fired up, and I get it because of the whole school bathroom thing. And he was telling them, you people are cowards. And what he was mad about was he helped some of them get elected on the idea they were going to stop this, and they caved when they got on the thing, so they were afraid of getting sued. He said, you're a bunch of cowards. Stand up. He said, I have a little girl. And he pointed all the ones out that had kids, especially the ones that had daughters. And he said, you got your head down. He said, what are you going to do when it's your daughter that gets abused? And you, and you, and you. Well, he called them out. I mean, he was basically calling for a 1776 moment, just about arresting. He was fired up, but he said, I'm a dad. I'm not going to let my daughter get hurt. It's not going to happen. Not on my watch. And all of you, everybody in here needs to stand up against this. We the people will stand up. It's most powerful. I've also been watching a guy out of Oklahoma. I'd love to interview him. I don't think he has time. His language gets a little rough for me, but I do like what he does. And he goes to these city council meetings around the state and on issues that are important. And he's a media guy, and he challenges them when they try to close the doors on people coming in, and that he shows them their own rules, that you can't do it. You have to, delay the meeting and get a bigger venue. You can't lock people out. You can't do it. I've seen that kind of happen around here, and they had to do the same thing. People called them out on it. They had to stop. It was a big meeting on a big deal, and they still had it, and people are still mad because they got rid of a mayor who was calling them out on some stuff, and they ran him off. But they did force them to move it to a bigger place instead of City Hall or wherever they meet. It was a local, but that's the kind of stuff that goes on. They do this small town stuff, and people don't know the rules, and they're afraid of getting in trouble, so they don't question it. They might grapple a little bit. This guy comes along and says, no, I'll bring the lawsuit tomorrow. And they got a deer in the headlights look like, you're not going to holler at me, so I'm not hollering. I'm telling you how it is. You're not doing this. This is wrong. So, I think more and more people are getting active this way, and these councils and commissions, and they're getting a little antsy about it, because what happened was, for a long time, Americans just quit going to these meetings, and it might have three or four that usually would go and bring up stuff, but a lot of people don't go. And again, I get it. People work and there's a lot going on, but we got to take time for that. I've been in them, and sometimes you can just see the backdoor agreements that's going on. He also called them out on all these meetings are having secretly. Not all of them need to be executive session type meetings. You're going back making deals, and you're coming out making a quick vote. It's obvious that you've agreed to something. This is not legal. Anyway, got to continue to challenge government and what they do, the role they play. Absolutely. So, hope everybody has a great day. Got to get off here. I'm going to go ahead and give out some watermelons at the plant. We've been back on tonight with. We're going to be late a little bit. We will have a show at 6:00. We got training, me and Biscuit Boy, for the Roku. We got to start the start of our training. We got to go through a series of classes. I think it is. I think we got to do at least an hour and a half or 2 hours or something to learn how to do this. So me and him's going to train, and we'll train Sir Chaser. But have a great day out there. God bless. Thanks for your support. The Wolf Nation Network, and that network includes the social sites, radio, and now TV. Take care. Let's get the music back up. That song that'll stick in your head, the Cornbread Man Morning Show. Take care. Whoops. I still